All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Steve doing a video for you tonight. Today is June 14th, 2020, and it was kind of a hot one out there today, folks. So I hope everyone is staying cool during this time of the year. Tonight's video is going to be back to basics. Okay. The reason that I decided to go ahead and do this video now is I've been experiencing some more gnosis lately, particularly working with Lucifer still, and this just seemed to come up in a dream as of late. And I think that this is going to be a good time to go ahead and do this, and probably just put a couple other videos I have on hand, kind of like on the back burner for a little bit. And this has a lot to do with some replies and comments, and I'm seeing not just on my channel but other channels as well. And I think that there are a lot of people, especially newcomers, that might be able to benefit from this. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing a back to basics series at this point. This particular one is just going to be part one, where we're relieving stress. And I'm going to get into a little bit of discussion on that and techniques for relieving stress and how all that plays a role in our magical practice. Before we go ahead and jump into the video, of course, I do appreciate it if you are a subscriber, especially if you are a new subscriber over this past week. I thank you very much for joining my channel. If you know anybody else who might be able to benefit from my channel, I do recommend that you, of course, share it, and do share my videos with other people. And you never know who might be able to benefit from it. If you have something that you like about this video or any of my other videos, do give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. And if you don't like it, leave me a thumbs down, of course, and comment on that as well. And we'll see about fixing any abnormalities or anything like that, depending on what the situation may be. Originally, last weekend, I did have a video I wanted to put out on using sigils of power in healing practices. I'm going to go ahead and be honest, folks. I filmed it and I was ready to put it out, and then something happened. Somebody just made a comment to me about the information I was putting out in the videos, sharing certain types of information as far as printed works, particularly sigils and whatnot. So I went ahead and I'm kind of redoing the second part of that video. I really like to get the information out to people. People really need the information, and they need to know how to use it and in what ways that they can use it and how it can benefit and whatnot. But I don't want to be doing anything illegal, of course, and so I want to make sure credit is given and credit is due where it's needed, and I don't want to be doing anything that might jeopardize anything. Particularly with original artworks and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and refilm the second part of the video. I still want to get that information out to you folks. Again, I just don't want to be doing anything wrong, by all means. And as any of you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I like to get that information out there, but I also like to tell people, hey, you really need to go out, you really need to buy the book, you need to have the material in order to be able to practice, and that's the best way of doing it, is by supporting that author for their time and their effort to put out that particular type of work. Obviously, there's lots of information on the internet, and I understand that there's a lot of people out there that might be breaking copyright laws by putting up pirated copies of these books and whatnot. I don't want to be one to contribute to that, of course. But make sure that you're giving the author credit, for that, and make sure you're supporting them for providing the information that you're using. So try not to do please don't do the pirated copies. Please, if you're kind of struggling with money and you really want to get the book, or and look into a Kindle version. If there's a Kindle version that you could get for free, or just for a couple dollars, go ahead and do that, as opposed to spending $15 or $20 for a printed copy of the book. I like printed copies, of course. I try to save money wherever I can and get Kindles first if I really need the information right away. But for me, I'm an old school kind of guy, and I really love to have the feeling of a book in my hand, and a book to reference. So, that was a little bit long-winded. I didn't want to go that long into that. Anyways, back to basics. Each and every one of us has different reasons for pursuing the magical arts. Okay? And that desire is often fueled by events or situations that may have just happened to us in the past. We didn't like what we faced. We didn't like the situation. But from that, we get a conscious decision that we decide that we no longer want to be, say, a victim, and that we really want to, begin to create our own reality. And that's what really the magical practice or magical arts is about. We are essentially creators of our own reality, creators of our own universe. Okay, and the study of magic is really an intentional act of our will. By applying our will and desire, that becomes a driving force for us to be able to change our present state. We understand that our reality is always in a constant change, state of change, and a state of flux, and that there are always infinite possibilities out there. And we want to be able to create something that is meaningful for us. We want to be able to create a reality that we want to live in, rather than just leave it by chance. Okay, now we're very, very limited in our potential to see what those possibilities are, what those future possibilities are. Okay, they're always changing, and potential to see that is through our perception, and that's a very, very small amount. We see a very small amount of the possibilities. We don't know them all, obviously. Okay, but the great thing about all this is that you don't have to know where you're going or how you're going to get there. Okay, or who's going to be involved or when it's going to happen or whatever. Okay, because your will and your desire to make that change for your reality is, again, that driving force, that focus that will get you there. Okay, everything else will simply unfold and reveal itself, as it happens. Okay, and that's where we get our synchronicity or our aha moments. A lot of people like to call that coincidence, but for us that practice magical arts, there is no coincidence. Okay, we have a tendency to create that. Okay, and that was our intention to begin with. Okay, during your progress, of course, you will most definitely meet a lot of opposition for practicing the magical arts. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. Generally, people will meet you with a very, very healthy amount, if not an overwhelming amount, of skepticism. Why you're practicing magical arts. If you tell somebody, what you're doing, or people find out what you're doing, particularly if they're of obviously a different faith, Christianity or something like that, Most people will just poke fun at you and ridicule you and go and make fun of you for doing what you're doing because they think that you might be a little bit of a loon or whatever. I'll be honest with you folks. When I was growing up, there's a lot of there's a few things that caused me to pursue the magical arts, and again, one was being able to create my own reality. I didn't want to leave anything by chance, just like anybody else. But there were, sides of me in my everyday life that kind of caused people to think that I was really a crackpot, in the beginning. For instance, I mean, like growing up, my brother and I, we had a group of friends that we all played Dungeons and Dragons with, the old tabletop version, and then I of course had other people that I played with, in a different campaign, another group. But my family, my brother was more concerned when he found out what I was practicing, just because they thought I was like, selling my soul or something like that, But when some of my closer friends found out what I was practicing, and this is one of the reasons why I gave up certain things, particularly playing Dungeons and Dragons, for instance, is I didn't want people to think that I was, taking my gaming experience to, taking it too literally, and that's unfortunately what ended up happening with a lot of my friends, is they found out and they're like, man, do you think he's like gone over the edge? You think he's taking it too seriously? And, and I mean, eventually I kind of broke away from those friends, they didn't quite understand, and that was the reason why about the time that I started my magical practice that I stopped, playing that tabletop game and stuff like that. But that's because I needed to be able to find time in order to put effort into my practice. Okay, so again, some people are going to ridicule you, some people are going to poke fun at you. You're just going to have to deal with it. Figure out how you're going to deal with it. And again, some of those people are going to be your closest friends and family. Okay. However, some people, and again, this is where it's going to get very, very sketchy, is that people, especially from religious groups, Christians, I generally don't get heat from Jehovah's Witnesses, but there are going to be people that are actually going to be, potentially hostile to you or towards you for what you're practicing. And that's simply because they generally don't accept or understand what they can't see, or it isn't verifiable for some. Obviously, we could get into a whole discussion about God and how you can verify or not verify his existence. We're not going to get into that, okay? Obviously, they have their beliefs and we have our beliefs. But people or groups that aim, hostilities towards us for what we practice, they often do it mostly out of fear. They just don't understand. Okay, that's pretty much about it. Okay, but to them, the idea that one has the ability to change their reality in accordance to their will, they perceive us as being dangerous, and that's a real problem for them, obviously, and that's also because, they're generally told that, what we do isn't natural and it isn't accepting, obviously, to their general community. So magic, folks, isn't really about being passive and letting things happen, to, like, say, some sort of predetermined fate, okay? Magic allows us to transform ourselves, okay? To become better than we are now, to become a better version of us than we are now. It allows us to break out of what might be thought of as a preconceived or limitations or perceptions about ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I mean our race, humankind, or mankind. It's this, in itself, can be frightening to people, especially, again, religious groups. We see it in the news all the time. Okay, you got religious groups that believe in evolution, or most people believe in evolution, and then you have religious groups that believe in creationism, or however you say it. But again, that's whatever they believe is what they want to believe. So I don't bother them about it, and most of them generally don't bother me. So just kind of hanging with me there, folks. This is going to be a little bit of a talk here before we get into the exercises. I do have some exercises that I want to be able to talk about and demonstrate, and as far as things that are going to help you, especially if you're new to the magical practice, to help develop your skills if the magical arts is really what you want to do. Okay, so just to kind of continue here, magic also gives us the desire to learn more about our world and around us and our universe in which we live. Again, as stated before, this gives us the ability to change, so we can make more change, make changes now in our lives if we choose to. Magic also gives us the ability and desire to create. Okay, and again, this is a problem for some people and some groups. Is not just do we create our own, have the ability to create our own reality, or even our current reality, which is frightening to them, but we also have the potential and capacity to grow and evolve into something more than who or what we are, just maybe as a person, or again as mankind or humankind. Finally, magic does give us the power to truly be free. And that means that we are no longer willing to be subservient to a master or a supreme being or a divine entity of any type. In magical practice, this is generally called Ascension. Some people have coined the phrase apotheosis, which literally means evolution of self-godhood. But it's what what a lot of people in the left-hand path actually pursue. Is we pursue what is known as ascension. We don't want to leave our life to chance or to fate. We want to have the best life that we can possibly have, and just not live like we don't know what's going to happen next, and in some cases we don't. Okay, but we more have the ability to create what's going to happen next, as opposed to just leave it by chance, of course. So what am I looking to present with you here, and in future videos, is practical exercises that are going to help you to develop these magical skills that you're going to need in order to practice magic. And a lot of this is going to be regarding energy manipulation and things of that nature. So again, that's why it's called back to basics. Okay, I've gotten a lot of people that just said, I'm doing things and I'm not getting results. What am I doing wrong? Well, the best thing I could probably think of at this time, and again, this kind of came to me through dreamnosis, was just do some videos on basics. Obviously, basics videos on breathing exercises and energy manipulation, and so on and so forth. And one of the very basics to start out with is just relieving stress. So that's what we're kind of focusing on here. So, and in case if you're kind of wondering how that relates to what we're doing, I'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, so some of these exercises are, of course, stand alone, and some will be progressive, but they are not meant as an end-all to your practice of the magical arts. These are also an interpretation, or my interpretation of an exercise. If you could go online and find, potentially several, if not dozens of variations of what I'm going to be discussing here. You may be able to find potentially several or dozen variations, within different amount of books and other source materials as well. And I do encourage you to do your own research and look at those and add those as well. If you find a variation of something that I've taught you or I've mentioned on, and you want to go ahead and give it a try, give it a try. If it helps you get a better handle and understanding of the lesson, by all means, go ahead and do it. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to go too broad, and I don't want you to do so many things that you just lose sight of the purpose. Okay, so again, you can go to the internet, you can go to local libraries, check out places that have information, expand your knowledge base, but by all means, make sure you are putting time into practice. Okay. So from this point forward, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is you need to start journaling your thoughts. Okay. Get a book. I mean, I buy books like this like $1 at the dollar store. Okay. And I buy like 6 or 7 of these at a time, and I journal just a lot of things. Okay, I journal my thoughts, my ideas, concepts, ritual ideas, my meditations, any gnosis that I get from doing rituals, exercises, different things. You need to be able to journalize and get your thoughts out and make sure that everything is concise. Okay, that's going to be the best thing that's going to happen. One of the best things that's going to happen in the beginning. It's going to help you to organize your thoughts and keep track of your growth and your progress, and as well as your results and your experience. Because that way, if you do a money drawing ritual today, and then say 2 weeks from now, something happens where you get, let's say you need $200, and then say somebody comes by and pays you, they owed you, $215. Okay. What I don't want you to say is like, oh, well, my spell didn't work. I asked for $200. I got $215. It's not related. Okay. Well, more than likely it is. Okay. But if you do the ritual and you journal it and it's here, and then something materializes, you could go back and check like later on to see, what you've been doing. Okay. Anytime I do a ritual that requires several days to maintain it, like the success rituals through Success Magic by Damon Brand with the Enochian rituals, I do all those for 7 days. I journal every one, like all week long, to make sure that I'm doing I'm doing that ritual 7 times. So get into the habit of journaling. Okay. Go out, get a couple copies, get a couple books that you can journal in. If you want to keep a regular journal and a dream journal, then of course that's fine. If you want to do like dream work, okay, you can go ahead and do that. I'm just talking about regular journaling for your magical practice. Okay. So again, when you do a meditation, you want to record it. How do you feel? How did you feel before the meditation, or during, or after? Did you try a new exercise or a variation? How did that go for you? What was your experience? Go ahead and make sure you're journaling everything. When you think of practicing something, or when we think of practicing something like an exercise, we have a tendency to think about something that's often boring or tedious or difficult. Okay, but studies have shown that if you take the time to make exercise fun and inviting, you have a tendency to gain and learn more from it than as if you just approach it like in a negative sense. Okay, and of course I'm going to leave that up to you to decide what is fun and inviting for you to make these exercises enjoyable for you, as opposed to something that seems like it's tedious. Okay, so I don't know what's fun for you, so you need to decide that. The problem, of course, with this is that we as a people, or as a race, or society, however you want to look at it, really, we have a tendency to want everything now. Okay, we're in that state of our society where it's like, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have email, and everything else. Everything we want it instantly. Okay, and if you begin magical practice in this fashion, you're most likely going to experience problems and difficulties, and it's just not the way that magic happens. It doesn't happen like that. Okay, it can. Again, as I've said in some videos, if there's anything I learned about magic, is that anything's possible. And I've gotten results, as I said, and sometimes the next day, and sometimes within weeks, and sometimes I just didn't get any results. It's a matter of there's a lot of variations and a lot of variables to take into account. So we also have a tendency to believe that we don't have time to get everything done that we want, and that's that's really just a perception that we've created within our minds, that our time is so limited that we can't do everything that we want. And of course, there is reality to that. We only have 24 hours in a day, but this causes us to build up a lot of stress and worry in our lives that can take its toll on us. Okay, so everything requires our attention. Our school requires our attention. Our work requires our attention. Our family, our kids, and pretty soon we're kind of like wondering, where did the time go? What happened? But it also amuses me that when I see a lot of these people, they say, I don't have time to do that. They say that they don't have enough time and to go ahead and put in required practice or something, that but they find enough time to spend on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. They're playing video games, they're watching TV, whatever, fill in the blank. They have time to do all this other stuff, but they don't want to put in appropriate time to develop their magical skills. And if you're not serious about it, then you're not serious about it. I'm not going to stand over you and ask, did you do your exercises today? That's going to be up to you. If you find yourself that you're on a bus, an hour a day to go to work and an hour to come home from work, then right there you got I'm sure you could figure like an exercise that you could do on a bus, like to just like relieve stress. Now, obviously, not everything's going to be available, in that sense. But I mean, you could do visualizations during that time, or anything that you could progress, that you can put into progress in your magical practice. You can find 5 minutes or 10 minutes somewhere, or 20 minutes somewhere to go ahead and do it. So, relieving stress exercises. Okay, so let me get a drink of water here really quick, folks. Well, I'm already at 30 minutes. Holy smokes. All right, relieving stress exercises. First and foremost, I'm going to suggest this one, okay? If you don't want to get rid of it, I mean, that's going to be totally up to you. But it's worked for me up to this point for the last 27 years, and I think that it could potentially work for a lot of people. Okay, number one reason for stress and worry: the fucking news. Okay, get rid of the fucking news. Okay, I have not watched the news for 27 years. Okay, I have not read a paper, other than to look at the job ad. Okay, no, I do catch, a couple glimpses. I'll be honest, I'll catch a couple glimpses here and there, for things that may have potential to affect me. Okay, and other than that, I'll listen to it, and if I'll determine at the end, does this have anything? Will this affect me in any way? If it doesn't, then obviously I let it go. Don't worry about it. Like, the only things that I'm like really concerned about right now, if anything, in the news is what they're doing with the stimulus acts. How society, how they're gonna stimulate the economy. And again, I spend a very, very minimum of maybe 5 minutes just kind of paying attention to what's happening. Maybe 10 minutes, not a whole lot. But then I turn it off. I get rid of it. So what I want you to do is, again, if you can't do this because you work in a field and it requires you to stay informed or up to date on current events or something like that, if you're, say, like a stockbroker or something, obviously, you gotta do what you gotta do. But to me, if you just get rid of it for a week and you record it and you see how you feel on a day-to-day basis by not listening to negative fucking bullshit, as far as like what's happening, or you're not reading the newspaper or something like that, record how you feel. Record how you feel after you watch it, and then try to go like start with a couple days. If you can't do a whole week, start with like don't listen to the news on the weekend. Just do like 2 days on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Don't listen to it. See how you feel. Don't read it. Don't read a paper. Okay, don't worry about the news on the internet. Just go about your day and don't worry about it. And see how you feel by not paying attention to that. See if you have less stress and less worry, and go from there. Okay, so obviously if you can't do it, again, because of your work or your career or whatever, then that's going to be up to you. Okay. All right, so exercise number 2. Okay, exercise number 2. I want you to take a warm shower with sea salt. Okay, you could do a bath. If you want to do a bath, that's fine. When you come home from work, okay, before you go to bed at some point, I mean, obviously, if you already do something like this, and that's fine, then all you gotta do is add the salt to it. But if this is gonna be, this might be something new for a lot of people. Simply spend 5 or 10 minutes in the shower, go in there, and obviously the water doesn't have to be boiling, just warm enough to relax you. And I want you to keep like a small container of sea salt. Now the jar could be bigger than this. Obviously you can have more salt in it if you want, or less, whatever you want to do. And there's a couple of variations of this. So obviously you keep a container or a jar of sea salt near the shower. You're going to take the lid off. Obviously you're going to imagine if there's more salt in this, obviously, okay? Put a little bit of water in there and make it into like a paste, okay? And then you're going to scoop some of it out and you're going to rub it on your body, okay? Your face, your hair, just rub it all over your body. And obviously that salt and water mixture, it's going to help to exfoliate your skin a little bit. But what we're really looking to do here is just clean away stress and negativity of the day, okay? And do it from head to toe, and then give it a rinse, okay? Now, as you do this, I want you to just imagine that you're removing the stress and negativity of the day. You rinse it off, you see that stress flowing down the drain, flowing away from you. Know that the stress is gone, okay? Just say, my stress from the day is gone. Just convince yourself. It is literally, it's really that simple, okay? Because part of magical practice is belief, okay? You have to have belief in what you're doing, otherwise you're just kind of like waving your hands in the air like you just don't fucking care, okay? So another alternative to this is to take a same or similar container, and again with less salt in it, put more water in it, and then you're going to just make it into like a salt water solution. You're going to mix it up, you're going to get the salt to dissolve a little bit, and then you're going to pour it over your body, over your head. Again, the same scenario here. We're just looking to view and to remove the stress and negativity of the day, okay? You can also take a small amount of sea salt, and if you have a shower gel, pour some of that into the container. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. Again, you could shower with that and do the same thing, okay? So that is the shower method for relieving stress, okay? Now, I'm going to get into why for all this in just a moment. Just kind of follow with me. Now, the next method is method number 3, okay? I call it a salt sponge, but I mean, we're really not dealing with the sponge here, okay? But the method of this is simply, again, we're looking to release, negativity and stress, okay? So, what this basically what you're doing is taking salt and you're going to put it in your hand and you're going to make it into a fist, okay? In your right hand. I want this. Put the salt in the palm of your right hand and then make a fist around it and close it. And what this is really going to teach us is that this applies to what's called loading of thoughts, or putting thoughts and impressions into an object or a substance. And this is going to come into later into the magical practice and how things work like this, okay? We're looking to charge an object, okay? But for this method, we're simply using salt, and the purpose of this is to direct our stress and our negativity into the salt in our hand, okay? We want to see that salt eating away the stress that we've had of the day, okay? So once you see that, you see the stress, you see the salt absorbing that stress of the day. What I want you to do is visualize it, and you could do this while you're in the shower. Or you could do it anywhere you want to, really. You probably don't want to do it in your living room, just because when you're done visualizing that, you're going to, throw the salt over your left shoulder. Okay, when you do this, okay, and I don't want you to look back or anything like that. But the whole reason why you're putting that stress into that salt and you're throwing it over your shoulder is you're looking to disconnect yourself with the stress that you've already released. Okay, so that is going to be one method to this exercise. Okay, so see that stress going into that salt, take it, release it, throw it over your shoulder, don't look back. Okay, know that you've gotten rid of that stress. Okay, it may take you a couple minutes to feel different, but just go ahead, do it, record it, get it over with. Okay, again, this applies to, what this does is this applies to charging different items, talismans, herb bundles, different things like that. There's so many different methods for charging things and putting our intentions into objects and all that, literally this is just going to build onto like other practices later on. Variation of this is salt in the hand. See that stress enter that salt, see that salt absorb all that negativity. When we're done with it, if you're outside, you have a creek or a stream or whatever, on your property or something like that, throw it into the creek. Okay, throw it into the stream. See that water carry that stress away from you. It's gone. It's done. Okay, and variation number 2 on that, obviously, again, salt in the hand, in the fist, see that salt absorbing that negative energy, and then you could just throw it in the toilet and then flush it away. Okay, that is going to be, that's releasing stress number 3. Okay, the next technique is a deep breathing technique, and again, you can find these stress relieving techniques on the internet or through other source materials. Deep breathing technique is simply just, you're going to sit down somewhere, relax, take a couple deep breaths, kind of forcefully blow that air out of your lungs, and just do 2 or 3 good deep breaths. And make sure you're really, when you're doing this, make sure you're really using your diaphragm here. Okay, when we breathe, we don't breathe, obviously our chest rises and falls during breathing, but we use our diaphragm here. Okay, like lower lungs, and as that expands, that brings air in. Okay, so really use your diaphragm when you're using this breathing technique, for it to work best. Okay, so just a couple deep breaths. And just let it go and just relax. You start for something small. Just do a couple, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. After a while, you can build on it. Okay, it doesn't have to be for a long amount of time, but we're just looking, again, to relieve stress at this point. Okay, now the last one I really need to show you. Okay, and I'm actually going to demonstrate it, and this is going to be through the power of laughter. Okay, and it's called Laughing Buddha, like literally. Okay, and quick story. I've been involved with alternative medicine for a number of years, and this was actually taught to me by two of my teachers. And the story goes like this. Okay, Buddha walked into a village one day, and he noticed that everybody in the village was very upset. They were frowning. They just weren't very happy about things and all that. And so he walked up to somebody, and somebody asked him a question, and he just started laughing. Okay, and people kept wondering, like, why is he laughing? So every time someone would ask him a question or approach him, he would just start laughing. Okay, and pretty soon his laughter became contagious. Okay, and pretty soon that the whole town was laughing, and then their whole outlook on their day-to-day life and their situation, just changed dramatically through the power of laughter. And that's just like the short and gritty version of it. Okay, so when you do this, I'm gonna have to stand up here to do this. Too bad my camera isn't very wide. Okay, before I stand up, with your hands, I want you to put your palms up like this, okay? Palms are facing up. And you're going to be in a slightly squatted position. I'm going to turn my camera up a little bit here as I stand. Just kind of squat down a little bit. It doesn't have to be like a full squat. Just bend the knees a little bit. When you do this, okay, with your palms up, okay, and really force the laughter out when you do this, okay? I really want you to open up. You're going to use your diaphragm a lot here. You're really going to open the mouth, stick the tongue out, and you're really going to force a good laughter, okay? Okay, kind of gives you the idea. And I want you to go. My neighbor's probably thinking I'm a fucking lunatic now. Anyways, you get the idea from that, okay? And I really want you to bring that laughter out. And if you can get other people to do this as well, that's great. Okay, you're going to end up changing your outlook on a lot of different things. Okay, so laughter is a cure. Laughter is going to help relieve the stress. And once you've done this enough times, I mean, you're really going to start to feel happy about yourself, and you're probably going to get other people to laugh with you and then laugh at you, and then that's just going to be a great feeling altogether. Okay, so now, okay, so again, I kind of touched on this briefly about what the salt thing and what it does as far as like, imprinting thoughts and impressions on the different things, but what it's all for and the purposes of this. So first and foremost, we need to learn to let go. Okay, and this is like one of the keys to our magical practice. We do something when we ask for something. We are looking to create something and manifest a desire. We need to let go of that desperation for having it. So in this case, we're focusing on stress, and we're looking to relieve stress, and we're learning to let go of stress. And so obviously, as we do that, we learn to let go of other things as well. Okay, we don't hold on to things as much, and we feel better about it, and we think better about ourselves, and we're able to look into and onto the situation with better clarity when we have a thought process that is clear. Okay, if we go into our ritual chamber and we're all stressed from the day and our minds aren't clear and we're focusing on different things, where do you think the energy that we raise is not going to be focused as well? And if we get any kind of result to our ritual, it's probably not going to be really what we want if we get anything at all. Okay, so this helps to free our minds, and it helps us to center us and put our energy into focusing really on what we want. So that's why we were looking to relieve stress, and by doing that, we're learning to let go of other things as well. And we don't want to carry this into the ritual chamber with us. We don't want our minds to wander. We want to be focused on what we want. So again, this also plays a role in releasing our need for expectations, and it doesn't come from a point of desperation. So, and again, when I'm talking about holding the salt in the hand and visualizing that stress and negativity being absorbed by the salt, it plays a greater role, and it teaches us how to charge things like talismans and herbs and stones and different things like that. Teach us how to manipulate the flow of energy and how to direct it, which is, of course, the very basics to performing magic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call the video done at this point. Really. I do apologize for it being a very long video, but I had to go ahead, and there's a lot of things that get covered there. I hope that this is truly going to be a benefit to you, or if you know somebody who else that can benefit from this. If you know somebody that is new to the role of wanting to become a magical practitioner, by all means, do share it with them. Okay, I would appreciate that very, very much. Okay, so I will be putting out more back to basic videos. I'm not certain what the next ones are going to be. I was originally going to wait until I had some new equipment come in to go ahead and do this video, but I really felt like I needed to get it out today as opposed to wait. So that's why I kind of recorded it now. So that, folks, I bid you a very fond farewell. Peace. Okay, I hope that you benefit from this video. Okay, and I will see you in the next. Take care. Bye.